Good evening, everyone. How are we tonight? Hey, Mark, how you doing? So, if you haven't signed up to subtonemusicacademy.com, which is where I do most of my one-to-ones from, I have released a new video, How We Made. It's a deep house track we've done with Rona Ray, who had the #1 Undefected with Prunk, I think it was. Amazing record. She's an amazing singer. And I've released the video of how we made that. It's exclusive to my site. So if you go to subtonemusicacademy.com, sign up, you'll be able to watch that and a few other videos exclusively on my channel. It's going to be there for about 2 or 4 weeks before it gets released on Groove Culture. So yeah. So the way this works, if you're new, is just ask me anything you want to know about production, about the music industry. And yeah, I'm using Ableton primarily, but I come from Logic and Cubase and Bitwig and Studio One. So ask me anything you want to know. That's what I'm here for. Try and help people. Hey, Bashi. Okay, right then, I'll tell you what I'll do. I will show you something I'm working on. And it's in the early stages of the project. And it's a bit of a disco house thing. So I'll just play you a bit of a loop. I'll put the headphones on because we got feedback, don't we? So. So it's quite messy, and it's just a bit of a disco houser. And I had a client in today, and he was asking me about this kind of stuff. So I've done it all in Ableton. I must have been messing around with stock plugins just to get my head around them a little bit. So the first thing I do would find some references that I think are a similar style. So this kind of label is a bit like just disco house, Toolroom-y, come Fool's Paradise, come all that kind of stuff. So I'll just A/B it and get some references to see what I'm thinking when I'm making these tracks. Or is it in the right area? Are the kicks right? Is the bass right? So as you can see, it's I've got a bit of a vocal air to it, but I'm just going to reference a few tracks because what I've done is recorded the sampling and transposed the speed in the sampler, which is here, and then as you can see, some of them are slightly out of time, so I've gone into it just put a couple of things where it just felt like it was a little bit too slushy. And I just used some references just to listen to the mix and go, okay, what do I need to do to this? Just basic drums, a bit of slush. Okay, so what I'll do, I'll just flash between different tracks very quickly. Just listen to the mixes and see what I'm feeling, and, you know, the drums right. And then I'll go back to my track and I'll start mixing it. So the first thing you want to start with is always your lead. So get this sounding as good as possible. So this is the key to it. So I've got this in and I've just made it a bit more lo-fi. Normally I would sample it through the S2400, but I've just been doing it quickly. I just wanted to, this project was just messing around using all Ableton plugins. So I've EQ'd it. Like the top end in it. Then I've been messing around with the envelope follower, the shaper, just to create a side chain, like an LFO tool. So what I did there was I got a shaper in, and I just shaped it like an LFO tool to cut, and I've done that on the filter frequency on the auto filter. So just I like LFO tool, and I just thought I'd make one and try and make one. So it's quite easy really, and it's yeah, it's just doing that. So the thing about sidechain compression is you always get the attack, as we were talking about last night. So with this I got a shaper, so I made sure that it came down before the kick came in, which you can't get with a compressor. And then what I've done is I've just used that, mapped that to the filter frequency going up to 100 Hertz. So there's no sub in it when the kick's there. And then I've done the same again, but just made it bounce a little bit like the rest of the track, like I do with a LFO tool. So basically I just made my own LFO tool because I was just messing around to see what I could do. And then I've got the utility on width. What I'm going to do, I'm going to make that parallel. And then I'm going to put some EQ in there. Just make it wide. Turn it down and bring it back in. Because I'm in headphones, I can't really hear it. But yeah, that'll be really wide now, hopefully. I would use an imager on this normally, but I'm just going to use stock plugins tonight. So like put a bit of a flanger, a bit of a phaser on there. It's already got something on. It's got redux. And then what I would do is just try and give it a bit of effect. It's already got flanger in the track, but let's mess around with Ableton. It's got a phaser flanger. See what that does. I'll put that before the width. See, I really like it on its own, but you lose the punch of that. Phaser, try a flanger. I like the flavor, it sounds really nice that. Hey 9 North Town, hey KRXNYC, hey Dubcuts Prod, welcome to the new guys. Like I said, any questions you want to know, just ask in there. I've just opened up a project while I'm waiting for someone to ask me something. So what I've done is I've sampled this off vinyl. I've recorded it in too fast on purpose, and then I've slowed it down in the sampler, and it's what I used on the algorithm. I've used warp and then repitch. Because that's what sounded best. I went through them all. You've got all the different ones there. And then, yeah, just repitched it and got it in time. And it sounds like that. I quite like it. It was just messing around this track. But so the key thing I want to do is I want to get a great lead sound. I'm just going to take these off for a sec. I want to get a great lead sound, and I want to make sure it's wide. So I'm just going to listen in these speakers. So yeah, I really like that. It sounds really good. So, oh, I put in the wrong thing. What's this one? Okay, so that's the original one. This is the new one. What I'll do is I'll put that on there, flanger. And then I'll get the stereo spread on there. Like that. Now you've got to remember with samples, you've got to watch the groove of the drums in the sample. You can get them to match the track. So with this, I just touched it up a little bit. I just made sure the claps were exactly on the beat. And just a couple every now and then. You can see, not all the time. I still want stuff to be off, but I just wanted to make sure that, you know, the directness of the kick and everything else really hit together. So that's a sample. And then what I'll do is I'll just put a kick in, okay? So the sample's the most important part of the track. So, but let's get a kick that's that kind of style. So I'm gonna listen to my references. And I know that their kicks are like kind of really big and fat kicks a lot of the time. So I'll get rid of everything. So I'm going to listen to the kick. And it's a nice kick, it's distorted, but it's not right for this track. So with that in, what I'll do is, well, in fact what I'll do is, I'll just get the bass in first of all. And for the bass, I've used Trilian, so not all Ableton plugins. Dark and round voice. All these are presets. I've just messed around doing this quickly, but I will find a sound that's right for this. But let's just get that in. Okay, so I'll put a clap in there as well because that's the key to this track. This is what's going to be playing all the time. So we need to clear it up. So the first problem is the kick. It doesn't go well with it. So find something else. Probably a cleaner kick actually. Might try the F9. Any questions, anyone? So that's about right. A bit more of a tool roomy type kick. It's got a tack. It's got loads of bottom end. You know, when you hear them James Hur kick, who does a lot of the stuff for tool rooming, they have loads of kind of length in the kick. So it really hits you in a club. I can't really hear on these. In fact, let me take this off for a sec. Still sounds a bit weird, that. Just a click. You've got to be mindful with kicks for samples that sometimes the beginnings are a bit early. There's a bit of a gap, and then if you cut it short, you're going to get a click if you don't use a fade out. So let's have a listen to that. That's still not right. I want a bit more of a knock. Okay, Bashi. Hi Jason, I recently finished a project and I'm noticing I'm always having trouble getting the mid-range of the track to really pop out in the mix, like having it muddy. Any tips? Well, the first thing is use lots of sounds with lots of mid-range and make sure that the things like the low end, the kick and the bass aren't too loud so they're not smearing it, or the highs are too loud because they're smearing it. And make sure that it's going to pop through. It depends on the kind of sounds. Always having a good clap cuts through on mid-range. So, you know, the drums, the clap, the vocal, depends what kind of music you're making. tech house, it's all about the drums, that mid-range. Make sure your lead sounds right. Sample choice is everything. Remember, mud is only too much of something. So, you know, if something's muddy, you've got too much in your mix. You need to take something out. Whether it's everything in a loop, whether it's too much reverb, whether it's too much delays, whether it's too much altogether in your track. I had Aaron Cold in today, and what we did was we changed his track and we just changed the samples for better samples that were high quality samples with more body and fitted the mix better for the track. And that's the key to it, is picking the right samples. Everything starts from the beginning. It's like baking a cake. It's the ingredients that you put in. Okay, so let's just say I like that kick. I can't really hear it in these headphones, but the top's coming through and it sounds a bit like that kind of kick. And I want a big weight, which I'll listen to in the speakers. So let's get the clapping, because that's going to be the next important thing. So now what I really need, a lot of this music has a big clap. So now let's talk about the mid-range now. So now I've got the synth, I've got that there, I've got this clap. But you know, let's listen to it in the mix. It's nice actually, it's nice, it's leading into it. What's this one? So I've just got a bit of a loop in there, which is a Cashmere add-on, but let's have a listen to the clap. That's kind of not cutting it, it's not right. So they're being a bit hidden. So I know that this clap has got something in it that I really like. So what I'll do is in the mix, play it. Okay, it's not the right clap. So instead of me going, oh yeah, that sounds really good, yeah, I don't move forward from here. Right? The only thing I'll be second best with from this point on, start with the lead, is the kick. I don't move forward on mixing, yeah, until I think that what I've got really works in the track. And I start from the level of importance. So, you know, I'm going to make sure there's no mud, because a sample is got loads of mud in it. You know, it's got loads of frequencies in, really. So besides the bottom of it and the very top, there's not much to put into a track. So what I'm doing is listening for a clap that really cuts through that sample. Yeah. So that cuts through, but it's not really the kind of style. And that one, you can't even hear it. So let me try and find something with a bit more. Like that. So I like that. Cuts through the mix. It's like a pre-shifted clap. So what I'll have to do is go into the MIDI and move it back a little bit, because this bit's meant to be before the clap. It's called a pre-shifted clap. So what you've got to do is go into it and use your ears. I suppose you can use this as a delay on it. And use your ears, and don't use your eyes on this. Just we're trying to get you used to the groove and the feeling. So when the more you do this with your ears instead of your eyes, the more you're going to get used to, oh, that's nice, that feels nice. Because really what we're trying to do is make this track groove. You know, we've already got the music and I want the drums to groove. I don't want them to be dead robotic and on the one. I'm using Trilian at the moment, but I probably will get a real bass on this. Depends, I'm going to have a mess around with it in a minute. Just want to get a clap together. So now backed up with that 707 drum machine clap. Sounds really good. It's got loads of power. I don't use battery for Victor. Victor says, what's my thoughts on it? I used to use it years ago. It's really good. But I use Ableton. So I don't need to use anything else. The drum rack's amazing. And I've got the push there. So what I'm doing is, I'm getting the lead right, I'm getting the kick in there, and I'm getting the kick and the clap, right? So this is the driving force of the track, all the way through the track, so it needs to be slamming, right? So the kick is like the clap is one of the leads, really. So, okay, so now I'm going to get an open hat. Okay, right, so I'm liking this. And what I'm thinking is get the bass right. I want it to be a bit more of an offbeat kind of track, this. So what I'll do is I'll go into Trilian. I'll just mess around with a few kind of presets. I do like this one. The Moog generally seems to be good for this kind of stuff. As you can see with some of them, it needs to be an octave down. No, it doesn't. It's just the wrong sound. Let's have a quick. And what I'm doing, I'm listening to the sounds, but I know that, you know, that sound there, filtered down might be perfect. Now you can't really hear that tone in there, but that tone there is what helps the character of it when it's cutting through the sample. You know, really all I want is a sine wave, but that little bit of tone is just giving it a bit more definition and bounce on the offbeat. I'll just listen. Okay, so yeah, so that's what I'm listening for. There is, I'm listening on the big speakers. It's the feeling. I'm not using my ears. What's it feeling like? How is it bouncing? You know, because when you listen to this one, like the Kasim stuff, that's what he does with his bass line. It's rolling. You hear that? That's what you feel in the club. Dun, 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 dun. That's the feeling, not what you're hearing, and that's what dance music's about. It's about getting the right feeling as well. Obviously, I can't work on this because I've got the headphones on. It creates a distortion, but I'm happy with that. I'm not 100% happy on the clap yet. So then I'll try and add some extra sound, so maybe a bit of a loop. No, I don't like the 16s. It's kind of lost in everything. I'm already adding something if I can hear it, or it's giving me a sense of feeling with everything else in. Right now I'm getting the right samples. That's the most important thing to a great mix, is the right samples. And don't forget, there's so much in that track. You've got to ask yourself, is, you know, do I need something else, or am I just trying to put it in? But this, I'm going back to genre, and this music is quite slushy. It's loops, it's everything else, but I don't add the loops until I've got the key elements that are cutting through the mix, and I put the loops in just to fill the gaps, because I still want the punch to come through. Hey Bashi, just your comment. Yeah, I really feel, I really just feeling like my mid-range sounds loud, but doesn't have that weight or heaviness I hear in my reference tracks, if that makes sense. Right, okay. So, you know, what is your mid-range? So the mid-range in this track is a sample, yeah? But I've got my sample there, but then I've got the weight and the heaviness coming from the bottom of the kick and the bass, yeah? There's nothing clashing with that. So, you know, your mid-range, what kind of music are you making? That's the main thing. If it's tech house, then it's the percussion that comes through that does it, or the top of the bass. It's about the balance. That's what it's about, you know, and it's about making space, like I said to you. Like I've just done there, I get the sample up, I get the kick in, and then I get the bass and the clap that fits the track. That's the driving force of this track. Everything else is just extra, right? So the reason why I don't do my drums at the beginning, besides it creating a melody and depicting where you want to go, is for this reason, right? What's most important? What your lead? What is your lead? And it's generally mid-range. Then don't fuck with that, or else you're going to make it muddy. And put everything in without reverbs and delays. Don't use anything. Don't solo and put it in the track, and then if you do that, then you're asking for trouble when it comes to muddiness. But mid-range is always perceived to be louder, because from like 1K to like 5K, what's it called? The Fletcher Munson curve. So it's just that them frequencies appear to be louder, but that's what mixing is about. It's about that. If I was going to say something to you, use metric AB like I'm doing, and feel the difference between your references and yours, and you should be able to hear, you know, that yours bass hasn't got, you've got too much bass. But then if you've got a piano and you've not EQ'd it properly, or you put a bass in it and they're overlapping, that's your problem. There's no one set thing to it. It's about, that's why I teach, well, the second thing that I teach after understanding where you're going, your roadmap, is frequency and character recognition. And you've got to know that by putting it in. And this is what people don't teach. They don't teach you how to hear on the internet. They're teaching you how to use programs. So yeah, learn frequency and character recognition and use metric AB to reference, go, okay, is my clap in the same position as that? You know, my hi-hat's as loud, is my kick got as much thump and feeling? Don't forget, if you use it, like I can't mix this track on headphones because it's about the kick and the bass and the feeling that I'm going to get from it, you know. And that's what dance music is about. How does it feel in the club? Remember, you're making a product, right? And the product, right? You've got three kind of fans really, or you know, there's 4 stages, and I say you've got your streamers who listen to your tracks, right? And then you've got the clubbers, yeah, who are on the dance floor, who might go and watch you, who want to listen to your music, and they're after a certain kind of DJ and a certain style, right? And some of them will be wannabe DJs, right? And then you've got your super fans, and your super fans are the DJs that buy your music and play your music. So, you know, you've got to know what they're into, get your kind of specifics right, and A/B to those kind of tracks, because some tracks have lots of bass in the kick and some tracks don't have more mid-range in the kick. It's different for each kind of style, and using metric AB with the references helps you just go, oh, is that right? Is that not right? Is it the same? But that applies not just to what's in your ears, but the feeling you get from the kick and the bass, and it's so important. Yeah, I use -12 on everything as a starting level, just because a lot of my emulations want feeding between -12 and -18. But I've just come to -12. I did -14, I didn't think it was enough. So obviously that's gain staging, so that's fader at 0, no plugins, and getting your sound to -12. Okay, I'm listening to it now and I'm thinking my hat's a bit too, it's not quite right. It needs to be a bit slushier. So I'm going to go to my hats. I'm going to try and find, and that's what, this is the key to it, is just finding something that really sits in your mix perfect and not moving on till you do. I always mess around with the transpose. Finding a reverb. I'm going to put a reverb on this because it might just give a bit more tail. And then, if you're not quite sure, go okay, so I kick up a bass right. A, B it. Now, with this, I know when I've got the right kick in the end that I'll be able to bounce this down this bass, okay, and then chop the audio out. So I'll do this. I'll get it down. I'll duplicate it. I'll freeze and flatten. And I'll do the same with the kick if it's in MIDI. So what I'll do is, I'll get it, make sure it's never on the kick. So you see that bit over there, it's overlapping on the kick. So what I'll do is get it, go like that, just take the ends off. Same again. And I'll A-B it to see if it's better or worse. And generally, because this is an offbeat bass line, this is really going to really help with the punch. Take that back a little bit. So this is just like using a compressor. So now I don't need to use a compressor on the bass. Sidechain it. Because when you do that, and I'll probably, if this is my track, I'll probably get this out of the Moog. Is bass all the same? Yeah. So it's just like that. So then what I'll do is get this. Get it like that. I'll glue it. Mute that one. Go. And then what I'll do is I'll probably go to the kick. Duplicate that. Freeze and flatten. When I've got the right kick. Because don't forget, when you compress something, it doesn't always compress till the end. It doesn't always compress straight away sometimes. So right now what I'm doing is just making everything fit without using any plugins. Like saturation and all that kind of stuff. That's what I would do first of all. So you see this, it's just a bit off there. So what I'll do is, I'll get it, I'll take the end down a little bit and listen. So what I'll do is I'll do the first half. Like this, and I'll listen. So yeah, so the punch is definitely better in this first half. It's not the right kick yet, but you get the idea. And that's what we'll do. So I want that feeling of the bottom end to it's about the club, it's the bass bins, it's about all that kind of stuff. And it really works this. Now, because remember, it's about the bottom end in the club. Now, 9, it doesn't always work. Sometimes you take away the sometimes you take away the warmth of it that you don't want to take away. So just be mindful, and that's why I isolate it. Helix, what Jason said, what is doing there is cutting off the pre-ring that makes the transient sloppy. Well, not necessarily, Helix, because is there a pre-ring? And why would I have a pre-ring? No, it doesn't look like it. I probably wouldn't use something with pre-ring. If it's been processed and it's got pre-ring on it, I'll probably just find a better sample. And that's what I'm saying. I'm not finished at the moment because I want to get all the sounds in, then choose the kick to go with the track. So now I've got the same punch as that track as my reference. I know that track slams in the club, right? I know this one slams in the club. See, mine's just still sounding a little bit boomy, not as punchy. So what I'll do is, where is it? So what I might do there is go back. Just think, okay, maybe I need to go back a little bit more. Let's try this. And I'm just listening to the bottom end. Okay. Oh no, I can't. It's different notes, isn't it? Oh, what a dick. So, you go through each note, do it. Like that. Just get them in. Listen to what the things doing on top. So some notes I might want longer, some notes I might want shorter. So that one is maybe that one back a little bit. So, and then just kind of copy it because it's, listen to it, listen to the music that's going with it. Take that off. Because it's an offbeat bass now, I don't need to worry about adding a compressor and adding any artifacts. I like that, it punches. Maybe have that one a bit louder. This is the club, this. Oh, I warped it wrong as well. this is, I work on every one of my tracks like this, okay? And the reason why I do that is because this is one of the most important parts of the track. We're not using our ears. Do I ever do feedback sessions? Yes, Josh, I do. That's what I do. You can book in, you can direct message me. Or during January, I'm mixing down on this, doing it live, so I'll mix down your track. Everybody is here to learn. Everyone's helping. People will comment, but it'll always be constructive. So if you don't mind constructive criticism, DM me, or you can book in for a session. And we do it on Zoom just like this. And you get a recording and I send it back to you. How often do I take a break to rest my ears? Not often enough, Victor. So possibly every hour and a half, sometimes 2 hours. Depends whether I get caught in the zone. There's nothing worse than getting caught up and not taking a break and then coming back and realising it doesn't sound the same. Thanks, Helix, that's correct. Yeah. 9, what I was doing was, I was using this plugin just to listen to the bottom end. I'm trying to figure out how it's going to feel in the club. It's a reference to one of the best plugins going, this. Now I can turn that up even more. And I've got the bass now. I think, okay, well, let's bring a bit more bottom of the sample back in. You know, I need to look at that bass. Might have cut it a bit too short, that. And so now I've got the key elements of the track. Get a lot of flamming. The speakers aren't on. There shouldn't be any flamming there. There is a lot of flanging on that lead sound. Phaser. So yeah, so I'll listen to it and I'll figure it out and then I'll go, right, okay, let's listen to different frequencies. Where do I need something now? And if I don't know, I'll just listen to some references. See, theirs are all a lot more dirty than mine. So I'll probably just try and find something to dirty up now. So I don't like that. And this is another thing. If I'm listening to something, I go back to it a couple of times, don't like it, I delete it straight away. I just don't, I'm not sticking with it. So let's have a listen to this snare. Okay, I wonder if that's from my headphones. Is this better? Well, I've got nothing's come out of speakers. Is that okay? Yeah, it's my headphones. It's these open backs. Bloody hell. I have to get my clothes back on. Okay, so I've got the bass. I've got all the main things that I really like here. But I just feel like it's not kind of the style of that kind of everything else that's in there. I just feel like I need some slush in there, some kind of loop that's just like hatty, just to muddy up the top end. They're good now. I've got the punch of everything. Now I'll add in the mud. And then I'll spend time on the kick because the kick isn't right. And then I'll just look for some loops and just go, right, okay, what's going to work with this now? Go through my top loops. I quite like that, so I'll just add that in for now, but I won't just settle for that. Okay, first of all, I'll get it right volume. Colour it, label it. Quite like it. It adds a bit of something to it. And just go, right, okay, have I got the sound right? Maybe I need a bit more. It's nice, just not slushy enough. quite nice and dirty, but I want something a bit busier. I'm looking for like the sign of it to be like a 16s. These are samples that I've just collected over the years. Nice, but not right. Look for something a bit slushy, just faster. That might do it. Quite nice as well. I'm not saying that's right. I don't want to waste all the time doing this, because you guys know what I mean. You've got to find the right one. And let's just say let's say I've got the right one. It's not the right one yet. But we've got some nice drums there. Let's put it back in. Then what I would do, I would, just for speed, put an LFO tool on all the percussion. Just doing this slight thing, so it's all bouncing together, giving it a bit more groove. And yeah, and the thing is what it's done is, obviously, yeah, it's back up the clapper stuff, but it's just added a bit of dirt up the top end, right? And that's I'm doing it the way different to the way people do it. But if you've not got the kick, the clap, and the offbeat hat really driving through and cutting through, you know, you're going to struggle. So I like to put them in separately, because, or if I find a loop that's got a clapping that complements the track and sounds better, I'll chop everything out, but I won't use the whole loop with the clapping. Okay, I'm on speakers again now, so let me know if you get any feedback. And then I've got the bass. So I'm just going to listen to the kicks on the other tracks now, just get a reference if my kick's okay. Okay, so the top of the kick's a bit loud. So what I'll do is I'll just EQ that off. And turn the kick up a little bit. And then A-B it. noise level match. And then I'll put the clap on them, 2 claps together instead, and I just want it a bit louder. Because I put the sidechain on, the claps have come down in volume. And that's the best way to do it. The best way is just A-Bing. If you don't know what you're doing, so ask yourself, right, how's my kick, the position of my kick, the low end of it, right? How's the top of it? The top was a bit high, right? Where's the clap? How's the bass? How does it feel? You know, where's the lead? Is it wide? You know, is the hats the same? I still think I need some kind of fast loop, 16th loop on top there. But straight away, I feel like I'm in the ballpark. And then what I would do is I would just listen loud for a second. Sorry, I turned you off then. So what I was saying was everything's got its position in the mix and it all works. I do think you need a bit of a shaky hat, slushy hat. I do think the kick isn't necessarily right. I'd find that. That's going to take me time. I don't really need to do that while you're here. They're the things that can take a bit of time just going through my loops. And I'm trying to make this as interesting as possible. So, and that's what I'll do. So now what I'll do is I'll have a quick listen. And go, right, that is, can you hear me now? Can you hear me? I think you can hear me now, can't you? And that's how you do it. So right now, I've got all the parts in, they all work in the mix, besides the kick and the hats, which I'll do later, right? And then I've got the vocal. Now I know I can start mixing it. Now I can start compressing it. Now I can start EQing it. Now I can start doing everything else, right? Because all I know is I've just got to either make them feel better or fit the mix better. In this case, I don't need them to fit the mix better. I just want to make sure that nothing's clashing with that kick, that clap and that bass and that open hat. So anything that I put in, I just kind of carve them around them. The lead sounds good, it's wide, it's got a bit of bottom ending. And then if you're not sure, just do some frequencies. And just do it A, B and T reference. Remember, everything is in different keys as well. So I'm listening to his bass and he's got a bit more low mids in his bass. So I might want to change my bass for a proper Moog bass, which I probably will do, and then use that. I'm in the ballpark. So now I know. Now I know that my clap hasn't got the hit of his. I know that track hits in the club, right? His mid-range is really, really, really good, right? So maybe I need to add something to that clap. Or so in that way, Bashi, you can tell just by using your reference. This plugin is one of the best plugins out there. You know, I still use it when I just want to check. Like if I'm saturating something, I'll check all these and A/B it on and off and do everything else. But if you're only mixing on your headphones, just use your references and just try and get them similar to the tracks that you know that slam in the club. And that's when I'll start EQing. Right, okay, I need a bit more top in that bass. Straight away, it's bouncing a little bit more. So I'm not quite sure about the kick, but let me try and EQ the kick first, see if I can do anything with that. Straight away it's fitting in the track, and this is where I start carving everything out. But I think the key to tonight's session is, you know, get your lead right, get that sounding great. Is it sounding amazing? Right, what's next? Let's just get the next most important thing, which was the bass. But really I need the kick to work with the bass, so I need to make sure that they're right. So found a kick that was all right, get the bass right. Is the bass sounding great? Yeah, it is, right. Does it sound great without the music in? Yeah, I might even be able to add a bit more top in that. So I've got the foundations of the track, and now I'll take a break. But now I've got everything that I need, right? Is it genre are all the parts genre appropriate? Yes, right. You know, are they 10 out of 10s? Yeah, for the mix, they all work. The sample's a sample. It's lo-fi, it's meant to be that way. You know, the drums, are they genre specific? Yeah, I could do with a bit more slush somehow. I'm going to figure that out. The kick's sounding good now, actually. I quite like it. And then now I can just like go start arranging it. But that's how I work on tracks, and that's how I recommend you do it. Oh, the most important thing to any track is the lead melody. You know, the sound, the melody, and you know, once you get them right, is it a 10 out of 10? Is it got a wow factor? Is it really good? Then everything else just got to, is it complementing it? And are these really good? You know, so yes, that's what I do. Any questions before we go? And have you enjoyed it? Bashi, how do you know when a sub bass is needed? You can feel it. That's why you've got to have your speakers in your room. I don't class, right, so you've got mid bass, so sub is anything under 100 hertz. So you can always look at an EQ. But really, what you want to be doing, Bashi, is feeling it on some big speakers with the bass, comparing it to another track and go, like I just did then with Metric AB, but feeling the bass and go, has it got the same energy? You say, has it got the same energy in that area? And that's how you know. The other thing about bass is like this. So if you listen to this bass, if you look at the EQ, if we get Pro Q4 on that, the fundamentals around 45 hertz, that's perfect. Do you know what I mean? Now, let me just do something quickly. So I'm going to duplicate this just for examples reasons. So F is a good key for if you want plenty of sub bass, right? I'm going to take off the top end. So I know there's loads of sub bass there, but listen to it as I go up and down, okay? I'm going to pitch up. We've taken the sub bass out of it. We've taken the sub bass out of it because that's the key of the track. So like a lot of garage tracks are in C, there's no sub bass in it. And when you go down an octave, it's too low. Like E is really the lowest E bass note I'll ever use. But I'll generally try and keep it to F, depending on the track, because it just doesn't feel the same. And in a club as well, it's in this music where the kick's going as well, you know, E will go down to, but you've got to be mindful of the key that you're in. And then if if you can't get the key of the track right, there's some plugins. So you've got things like R bass or BX SubSynth. So like R bass, you can get it. say the frequency you're going to add saturation to, so adding harmonics to those frequencies, say 50 Hertz. So if you can hear that, that's really low. And then add in what you think is right. But the thing about bass is this, right? I mix tracks for some people who are on the road, and the reason why I do that, or they've got a new studio, then I'll do it because they can't make informed decisions, right? And the problem that most of my clients have is that they can't make informed decisions because of the listening environment. So you've got to sort your listening environment out. Like, I can't mix a track that's bass heavy with them headphones. So, yes. So what if your track's in D? Well, listen, different basses sound different. So if something's got a bit more harmonics, you know, around the E and F area, when it's in D, then you can probably roll off the bass. But again, you've got to use your ears and see what sounds right to you. But if your track's in D, you know, you've got all the other notes in D that you can use, but you generally want to use the fundamentals some of the times in the bass, I find. If someone's mixing me a track, right, and there's different amounts of bass, and some of the tracks don't have bass in it, so they've gone for the high D, what I'll do is I'll slice it all up. So I'll put all the notes on separate channels for each note. I'll then get the volumes of each note, right, and I will get the volumes right so they sound right to my ears, and then I'll put an R bass or a BX SubSynth like this. And what I'll do is I'll use the harmonics. I'll amend it so that it just feels a little bit more even as it's going from different notes in different sections. Specifically do that in stuff like melodic house and techno, where you've got long sustained notes and then it goes into a higher note and there's no bass in it. Right, okay, sorry about that. So yeah, so that's how I look at bass. Like I said, I've got a great room, so I can feel the bass and I can hear the bass. But just use Metric AB for now, and then just do the car test or listen to it somewhere where you can see how it's going and how it feels. And if you're DJing, play it out and see what happens, see how it feels compared to the next one. Right, I'm going to wrap it up. Victor, would you recommend using a second pair of smaller monitors to double check your kick and bass? Well, I have the Dutch and Dutch, I have the HS5s, and I have that, which is like a Bluetooth box. And they are all, and I have the Audi's headphones. Yeah, the more references, the better. Because you've got to remember what mixing about is about trying to make it translate in as many systems as possible. And that's the key thing to it. So yeah, you're welcome, Bashi. Like I said, Bashi, if you've got a track and I can mix it on this session, we've got to the end of January. So we've still got 9 days left. You can always DM me. But thanks everyone for joining. And please, I'll see you tomorrow. Ask me any questions that you want. And is there anything you want me to go into? Just leave some messages in the comments when this is over with. I don't have that plugin, Victor, sorry. I don't have Beatquake, but I'll have a look at it. take care, everyone, and I'll see you. I'm not here tomorrow because I'm at a gig, so I will see you Friday. Take care.